happy New Year's Eve. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today on the Attachment Confessions for the final day of 2025. My name is Chelsea, and I'm super excited to ring in 2026 with you guys for a very apropos 15th episode. For those of you that are brand new to the Attachment Confessions, welcome to the pod. I am so glad you decided to tune in. From the moment I discovered attachment science, everything about every relationship I had ever been in finally made sense. And now I'm figuring out what it takes to earn my attachment security and have the best possible relationships from now on. Here on the Attachment Confessions, we'll be discussing all things attachment science while you guys tag along on my attachment healing adventure. My hope is that by bringing attachment science to those of you who have never heard of it before, and by sharing my own story, you'll also be inspired to set out on your own attachment healing journey. Before we get into today's topic, if you could pretty please take a sec to subscribe to or follow the Attachment Confessions so that you never miss when a new episode drops, as well as leave a rating and review if you are loving what you're hearing. I'd really appreciate it. It helps tremendously with the algorithms by getting this podcast in front of more people that can possibly benefit from learning about attachment science. It's genuinely changed my life, and my goal is to help as many other people as possible. All right, since today is December 31st, I figured it only makes sense to focus on some tangible dating to-dos that we can set and carry into 2026. Which brings us to today's topic, dating and relationship resolutions. It's time to confess. Some of us need to make serious overhauls to our dating habits going into the new year, myself included. Regardless if you're single or in a relationship, striving for healthier connections is something we can all agree would make life sweeter. Dating resolutions are great to set, not only because they have a high probability of improving your love life, but also they're ultimately a form of self improvement. There are several ways we can improve our dating game, so let's first focus on how to show up as our best single selves looking to find love in 2026. On our last episode, we did a deep dive into the explosive world of love bombing. Woo! At the end of that episode, I'm sure some of you felt slightly targeted. You may have began to connect the dots that perhaps you are the love bomber episode 14 warned of. If you felt like I was personally calling you out for casting love grenades, well, I kinda was. But it's all in a loving effort to bring forth the self awareness that we all need from time to time. Trust me, as a healing fearful avoidant, I'm certainly not claiming to be perfect, okay? Self improvement is a journey, though, and sometimes we all need a little dose of tough love along the way. Changing your own love bombing ways is the first New Year's dating resolution we'll be diving into, so let's get to it. If you recognized yourself in any of the patterns we discussed that are typical signs of love bombing in action, like over texting, showering with excessive compliments, fancy dates or vacations that resemble what you've seen take place on The Bachelor, throwing out the L word when you can't even remember your new flame's birthday, making future focused promises on date two, just to name a handful, then let's go ahead and agree that 2026 is the year you're done with doing such premature gestures. Guys, love is not simply a feeling. It's a commitment that no matter what curveballs life throws at you, no matter how annoyed you are at your partner, no matter what, you're there for them to anchor into every single day, not just how you feel in any given moment. That level of commitment cannot possibly be reached in the early days, weeks, and months of getting to know someone. Give your heart and this new person's heart time to really get to know each other. Don't go making promises you can't keep. Don't go giving away your heart and your body because when that dopamine wears off, you're going to have quite the chemical warfare on your hands when you discover, yet again, you rushed things way too fast, way too soon. If you find yourself in this same dating loop, meeting someone you like, falling too quickly, love bombing the socks off them, and then watching what you swore this time is for real, going to be forever, crash and burn in your face, just like every other time. Let that be your sign, please. Stop ignoring this pattern. What you've been doing isn't working. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. No more insane dating behavior in 2026. You're doing so much damage. The blast radius truly affects your current self, your future love life, and those left in the shrapnel of your bombs in devastating ways that you've probably been oblivious to. Now, like I said in episode 14, not all love bombing is quote unquote bad. It's definitely a signal, though, and not only one to be on the lookout for if you think it's happening to you, but it's one to be aware of in yourself as well. If you're starting to come to the realization that you're notorious for love bombing, let's chat through how you can change this unsavory pattern of behavior. First off, just be honest with yourself. Call it what it is. Instead of blowing things off like, I'm just an intense type of person when I meet someone new that I'm into. Easy, Tiger. Let's take a step back and admit it's actually my insecure attachment that's being activated when I meet someone new that I like. If you're an anxious preoccupied or a fearful avoidant that tends to lean anxious, ask yourself, am I rushing things because I don't want this person to abandon me? Am I moving fast so that I can hurry up and lock this person down in a relationship? And if that's the case, by being honest with yourself and your own intentions, you can choose a different path for yourself rather than fall into the same old patterns as always. If you're a dismissive avoidant, ask yourself, am I showering this new person with all sorts of attention, affection, and material things because it's my way of coping with the loss of the relationship I just got out of? Or because it feels good to get positive validation from someone new by impressing them or performing for them? Then you can choose to not let yourself get caught up in the initial dopamine rush you're feeling, mistaking those endorphins for true love. If you're a fearful avoidant that tends to lean avoidant, take some time to ask yourself, am I rushing into building a connection with this person because it feels amazing to be seen, heard, and understood by them? If that's the case, giving too much of yourself too quickly is not a recipe for true connection. It's to fill a void temporarily until you then start to pull away once the fear of betrayal starts to take over. No need to rush if it's the real thing. A good thing takes time to cultivate, and not everyone is deserving of that type of access to your heart, body, or mind. After taking a sec for some honest self reflection, the next step is to regulate your nervous system before going off the deep end. When you recognize that initial urge to send multiple text messages in a row, or overshare your feelings, rush to get too close too soon, or reach out for validation, pump the brakes for a bit. Practice putting into place something that will ground you, aka pull you back into the present that stops your mind from spiraling. Breathing techniques are great for this. Something as simple as taking 10 deep breaths, breathing from your diaphragm. Or go for a quick 5-minute walk to clear your thoughts. If writing your thoughts down in order to get them out of your body is the thing that works for you, do that. Having a method or two that you can pivot to in order to regulate your nervous system when those urges to love bomb come up will help tremendously. After getting into the habit of regulating your nervous system, it's time to set a secure pace for the connection to move at. Like I said before, a good thing takes time to cultivate. Feeling the need to rush is only feeding into your insecure attachment. Don't get me wrong, you can still be excited and enthusiastic, but in a way that's realistic for the level at which you actually know this person, which isn't very much at this point. Most flames that burn red hot from the jump are bound to burn out. In order to create a sustainable connection that doesn't fizzle out at the first sight of imperfection, it's better to take things gradually while remaining consistent. Allow trust and intimacy to build over time, not overnight. As my guy Dr. John Deloney famously says, behavior is a language. Your consistent actions over time indicate how you really feel about someone and your intentions with their heart, not off the cuff, over the top words or promises that come way too soon during the getting to know you phase. Let's face it, if you're always telling your new boo, "I've never felt like this before," you actually have. It's called a dopamine rush. Your undying love need not be declared for every person you have a crush on. What's also important in terms of pacing is making sure you continue living your life outside of this new person. Just because you're excited about someone new doesn't mean you drop everything else in your life in order to spend all your free time with them. Keep doing the things that you love. Keep spending time with your friends and family. Keep up with your hobbies. Limit yourself to spending time with your new connection to 1 to 2 times per week starting out. We all have those friends that the moment they start talking to someone they like, they may as well legally change their name to Houdini. Not only is this totally annoying, because once that flame snuffs out, you're expected to be totally available to them like nothing ever happened, but also they lose themselves in every person they date. That's not only not being a good friend, but it's also not being a good steward of yourself. Don't do that. If the connection is real, you should both want each other to have hobbies and relationships outside of one another that bring each of you joy and fulfillment. As the relationship progresses, again, gradually, then it's only natural that the time spent together will increase. Once you've established a healthy, secure pace, be honest about what your wants and needs are in a relationship. Communication is key. No one is a mind reader, although us fearful avoidants tend to forget that a lot of the time. True love doesn't require a performance. If you often feel as though you need to earn someone's love by overgiving, talk through how you're feeling instead. Try saying something like, "Hey, I'm really liking where things are going with us. Something I'm looking for in a partnership is blank." Fill in that blank with something that makes you feel safe and sturdy in a relationship, like open, honest communication, consistency, or clarity on where you're at with your feelings, etc. Then follow that up by asking how that feels for them or what makes them feel secure in a relationship. When we're honest about these things up front, it's like giving the other person a very clear roadmap to your heart. It takes out the guesswork and puts both people on the same page, which helps eliminate any unnecessary anxiety or wondering what each other is thinking but not saying, etc. Lastly, if you tend to be a love bomber, it's imperative that you not only work on the behaviors associated with love bombing, but that you get to the real root of the issue. Love bombing often grows out of deep attachment wounds. By knowing your attachment style, you can then understand the root of your love bombing ways. Once you have a better understanding of why you do what you do, you can work towards healing your insecure attachment and earning your attachment security. The more secure you are, the less likely you are to detonate love bombs and gravitate towards creating real connections that can last. Alrighty, now that it's clear to see why changing your love bombing ways is an obvious solid goal to set for yourself in 2026, if that's an area you tend to struggle in, of course, let's move on to some other dating resolutions for singles that are sure to bring you better success in the new year. First things first, work on your relationship with yourself. Build self love as a foundation before committing to someone else. We've all heard you can't love someone else if you don't first love yourself. This is so true, you guys. So many destructive behaviors that people act out in relationships are because at their core, they don't love and respect themselves. Cheating, pornography, gambling, drug or alcohol addictions, those are all symptoms of what's really going on inside a person. If you don't fix you first, you have no business bringing someone else in for a ringside seat to your catastrophic life choices. Once you're in a place where you love yourself and are ready to extend that love to someone else, it's time to put these next resolutions into practice. Up next, we have define your want. Get specific about the partner and relationship you desire. Clearly define and stick to your personal boundaries. Take some time to thoughtfully write down a list of your non negotiables that are based on the values and beliefs that you hold, not a shallow wish list. That way, you can determine quickly if someone doesn't line up with the things you hold dearest to you. If your values and beliefs aren't aligned, the likelihood of that blossoming into a successful partnership is slim to none. That's cool if they're hot and have a great career, but looks fade and people lose their jobs. You better be more concerned with having a solid foundation to build off of because when life hits you hard, which it will, it's the shared values and beliefs that are going to bring you through to the other side, stronger together. This is unfortunately something I've been way too lenient on in past relationships. I have always been a Christian, but haven't done a great job of living my life in the way that I know that I should. What? A Christian that lives like an atheist? A hypocrite? No way, Chels. I've never heard of such a thing. I know. Unfortunately, Christians get a bad rap in this way, and the evidence of my past relationships is no exception. I put those relationships on a pedestal in place of where God should always be. I made an idol out of them. I worshiped the idea of the relationship rather than the only one who is worthy of such praise. Looking back on how I treated those relationships, it seriously makes me sick to my stomach. But it took the demise of my last relationship that I idolized for me to truly experience the transformation of Jesus that I now know to be true. My number one non negotiable is someone who not only calls themselves a Christian, because anybody can do that, but someone who is striving to live a life that is God honoring and have a relationship that is God honoring. So, what are your non negotiables? Write them down and look at them often. Next dating resolution to set in 2026 is communicate your goals for a relationship up front and doing so without the fear of feeling rejected if they're not on the same page as you. It's time to say sayonara to situationships or people who don't reciprocate your energy. Trust me on this. I spent almost 2 years of my life in my most recent relationship in non-stop wishful thinking mode. If you've ever heard of the term toxic hope, that's the state I was in. Granted, there were a lot of mixed signals I was given that kept me in this state, but I was perpetually hoping that he would finally want what I wanted for our relationship, which was to get married. 2 years of toxic hope, just for our goals to be unaligned and my time ultimately wasted. Not only was my time wasted, my heart was wrecked. It was a total lose lose situation I could have avoided had I just had the courage to communicate my needs and wants earlier on and not brushed off his avoidance of important conversations. Being scared that the other person might not be on the same page is not a reason to not communicate your desires. In fact, that should have been my sign that it probably wasn't meant to be if I had to keep my feelings inside in order to avoid feeling rejected. Also, if you're not looking for something serious, that's okay. Be upfront about it, though. You're not a bad person if you're not interested in marriage, but you're leading people on if you don't disclose that and the other person has made it blatantly clear that that is, in fact, what their goal is. Moral of the story? Say what you mean and mean what you say, people. Don't lead people on and don't cast your true wants and needs aside. We will all be better off out here in the dating battlefield if we all commit to this resolution. Next goal is to put yourself out there. Commit to going to new places or events to meet people beyond your usual routine. This one is going to be tricky for me. I'd much prefer to meet someone organically, like through friends or bumping into each other as we're both picking out avocados in Trader Joe's. Unfortunately, neither of those scenarios have happened yet, so it looks like I'm going to have to get creative in 2026 if I don't want to die alone, which, for the record, I most certainly do not. If your past 5 failed relationships have all been with people you met out at the bars, it's time to change your scenery. Take up a cooking, art, or dance class. Join a small group for singles at church. Get involved in nonprofits. Start volunteering regularly or attend professional networking events in your area. Go to the places that other potential singles that share your values and beliefs would have a higher likelihood of also being. There are now singles mixers that you can sign up for depending on the area that you live in. If you're in a rural town, this might not be a viable option for you. But me personally, I'm one of those weirdos that loves pickleball, and I know there are pickleball singles events. So I may be taking my paddle to the pickleball courts to find my Prince Charming. We shall see. I will say I'm not interested in dating apps at this point. I spent a whopping 2 days on Tinder back in 2013, and that resulted in a long term relationship I'd rather not repeat. And things have gotten a whole lot more wild in those dating app streets since then. Also, dating trends are showing that people are starting to ditch the dating apps and opt for real world in person connections. But as the great Justin Bieber says, never say never. Who knows if I'll resort to that avenue again or not. But for now, it's going to be a no for me, dog. Bottom line, make a 2026 pledge to say yes to more, step out of your comfort zone, and embrace new experiences. You never know who might be there looking for someone just like you. Next new dating habit to set in the new year is to be proactive. Don't wait for others to approach. Be willing to make the first move. If you're interested in someone, work up the courage to initiate something. I feel like this is a total lost art of dating. Most of us now live our lives behind the comfort of a screen. People are petrified of rejection. We all are. But you don't ask, you don't get. Now, trust me, I know it's a fine line between coming off confident and coming off creepy. Please, no pickup lines. Just be a genuine human who is interested in getting to know someone, not interested in rounding all their bases. Now, I know this is harder for women. Quite frankly, I want the man to be proactive and make the first move. However, if it's just not happening, don't be afraid to maybe nudge them along by letting them know that you're interested in them. And then hopefully that's the push of encouragement they need to take things from there if the feeling is mutual. Now, to take things a step further, if the moves have been made and it's clear both parties are into each other, men, plan and pay for the freaking date. Doesn't need to be something super fancy and extravagant. In fact, as we've already discussed in Love Bombing 101, things shouldn't be over the top fancy and extravagant early on. A solid idea is to ask some questions to help you get an understanding of what your new date would have an interest in and plan something around that. Now that we've got a solid list of dating resolutions for those of us that are single, let's chat through some goals to set for couples that are looking to strengthen their bond in 2026. First things first, prioritize date nights. As the relationship moves along and the initial sparks slowly fade, it's super common for couples to find themselves in a rut. Add kiddos into the mix, and you're lucky if you can even get in a shower, never mind some quality alone time. However, it's imperative to schedule regular, dedicated time for just the two of you. Research shows that date nights are linked to stronger relationships and more satisfaction in your physical intimacy, so there's really no excuse not to prioritize quality time together in 2026. Next New Year's pledge is to communicate better. A bad habit that many of us fall into is listening to respond, not listening to understand. Practice active listening, express your wants and needs openly, and aim to resolve conflicts calmly and as quickly as possible. In episode 13, I shared with you guys the no fail conflict resolution plan that Dr. Sarah Hensley teaches in her hybrid group coaching class. This plan blew my mind and will 1000% be something I implement in my next relationship. I highly suggest taking a look at all the services she offers at thelovedoc.com, but I especially encourage the couples listening to check out her no fail conflict resolution plan. It will change your relationship for the better. Trust me. Next up is show appreciation. Start giving your partner more compliments and express your gratitude for them and the things they do often. I've heard from different relationship experts. If you think something nice, say it out loud. Remember, your partner can't read your mind. If you're in awe by how amazing of a mom she is, tell her. If you're so proud of how hard your man works for his family, let him know. Showing appreciation costs you nothing, but means the world to the person receiving it. Gestures like these go a long way and will most certainly strengthen the bond between you two. Next resolution on the list is be present. This is a big one in our day and age, but it is so important, you guys. Put the freaking phones away and give your partner undivided attention. I cannot tell you how much your relationship will improve if you no longer treat your phone like more of a priority than your partner. These little computers we hold so dearly in the palm of our hands have absolutely destroyed intimacy. Your iPhone should not be placed on a pedestal above your partner. That sounds ridiculous to even have to say out loud, right? But honestly, we treat tech devices as if they are more precious than the ones we have actual human relationships with. Not only our partners, our kids, our family, our colleagues at work, our friends at the dinner table. It's time to sever the ties we have with our phones and turn our attention back towards what matters people, human beings, your partner being the most important of them all. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Okay, next resolution for couples to set is to try new things together. As stress and obligations pile up, it's easy to get stuck in the same old routine. Watching the latest all the rage Netflix series together is cool and all, but what connection are you actually building with your partner when that's your go to activity? It's time to spice things up in 2026. Find some new, fun hobbies you can share together, learn a language with each other, or go on adventures together. Trying new things can definitely bring you closer and break up the monotony of everyday life. Next New Year's pledge to make is practice forgiveness. Be quicker to apologize when you slip up and let go of minor issues when your partner does. Everyone has bad days. Everyone can be a little snippy at times. Now, if this is a constant issue, it's time to address that. Leave volatility behind. Avoid unnecessary overreactions and intense up and down relationship dynamics. Little things here and there that, in the grand scheme of things, aren't worth making mountains out of molehills. Forgive your partner if they're the guilty party, and take accountability and apologize if you're the one in the wrong, and move on. A little grace goes a long way. Next up, stop expecting perfection. Accept flaws in yourself and in your partner. Nobody is perfect. Most of the time, that's the standard we have for ourselves that we then project onto others when they aren't living up to that standard. You'll make your life and your relationship so much better when you stop holding someone else to a standard you can never possibly meet yourself. Remember, guys, what's important is progress, not perfection. Next couple's resolution is to nurture intimacy. Make it a point to increase physical and emotional closeness. Remember all the cute, thoughtful things you did for each other when you were in the earlier dating phase? One thing in particular that a former boyfriend did for me was write sweet messages on post it notes and then leave them in random places in my house or my car for me to find. I'm a total sucker for small, sweet gestures, and that was one of my faves. The long lost art of writing love letters might be something to help spark your emotional intimacy. Maybe give that one a try. Handwritten, of course. Implement something creative and different that you think will mean a lot to your partner. Chances are they'll reciprocate with something sweet and thoughtful back. And for the final resolution for couples to set in 2026, support each other's growth. Help each other achieve personal goals. Cheer your partner on if they've set out to accomplish something new. Encouragement is crucial, especially if your partner is looking to improve in an area of their life. Be their biggest cheerleader. If they fall off track, don't nag them or beat them up for it. That should just be obvious, but unfortunately, it's something I have to say out loud. Help them get back on track. I heard recently that most people fall off the wagon of their New Year's resolutions by the second Friday of January. That's wild. New habits take time to build, so help your partner build those habits by supporting them in their goals towards personal growth. Be the partner for them that you would want for yourself. All right, guys, that wraps up some solid dating and relationship resolutions for y'all to try moving into the new year. I would love to hear if any of you are going to try these dating resolutions in 2026. So DM me on my Instagram at the Attachment Confessions and let's encourage one another. To those of you who have been on this ride with me since the beginning, already part of the Confessions crew, I cannot express how grateful I am to have you on this journey. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for making space in your life this past year for this podcast. 2025 was an eye opening year for me, a rude awakening, if you will. This year was honestly full of pain that I didn't ask for, but God knew that I needed to experience it. I'm going into 2026 with so much gratitude for the lessons that 2025 taught me. With all that being said, I'm ready to put what's behind me behind and make 2026 my best year yet. Will 2026 be the year I finally meet my person? I don't know. But if I don't at least put myself out there, the likelihood of me meeting him while watching every country's version of Love is Blind on my couch with my cat is highly unlikely. So, one of the resolutions I'll be setting is getting out of my comfort zone, touching grass, and attempting to quote unquote date, which, not gonna lie, you guys, kinda scares me. Like, a lot. I'm a serial monogamist. I don't know how to date, so wish me luck. Your girl's gonna need it. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you got something out of episode 15 that you can carry into the new year. I'll see you guys back here in a couple of weeks. Until then, I hope you guys have a very happy and safe New Year's. Love you guys. Bye.